All right, Patreon, we're gonna butcher a turkey and answer your questions at the same time. You know who I am. What was the question, Brennan?
I forgot. Let's see. Okay, balancing prepper goals versus regular financial goals.
Okay, and then the other one was ratios for
Prepper
saving.
budget for food, garden, livestock, fuel, homestead, etc.
Okay,
Bare necessities.
bare necessities.
Simple bare.
The simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries or your strife. I mean the bare necessities, so that a bear can rest at ease. It's just the bare necessities of life, or something like that. So, balancing a budget, right? That's one of the questions. And how do you divide up that budget? Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Probably prioritizing what's the most important.
Okay. So, good fat on this guy. Good job, Birdie. Balancing a budget. How would I allocate that budget? So this is basically a question of I need the money to prep, and then how do I spend the money that I have to prep, right? So, first things first, where do I get the money to prep? If you don't currently have a budget, just like a life budget, that this is the amount of money that it costs for us to do life every day, you need to get one, because I've found, my wife and I have found, that when we're not actually paying attention to our spending and when we don't have savings goals, we do horrendous. It's quite interesting that if you don't know the target that you're trying to hit, you'll always hit nothing. If you're not aiming towards achieving anything, that's exactly what you're going to achieve, is nothing. So you need to know what you're actually saving towards, and you need to be paying attention to how much money you're spending. So we use an app called the Every Dollar app. It's from Dave Ramsey, and it's free. And basically it allows you to lay out, my power bill is this much, my whatever, our groceries are this much. And then you can look at how much you actually need to spend, and you can compare that against what you're actually spending and come to some pretty enlightening conclusions pretty quick. My wife and I did this, 3 months ago maybe? And we've done it regularly before then as well. And you find out pretty quick, hey, we're spending a whole bunch of money that we shouldn't be spending. And like, for example, her car, we know her car is going to need to get replaced in the near future. And so I said, we need to sit down, check our budget, and see where we're throwing money so that we have the money when this car needs to be replaced to replace it, right? So identifying what you actually have to work with is key. And you realize pretty quick, man, we blow money on everything. Right? And it gives you some intentionality. Like if your goal is to only spend $300 when you go to the grocery store, now all of a sudden you're going to have that in the back of your mind. It's going to inform your actions. Hey, I'm only going to spend $300 when I go to the grocery store. Not, well, it was $340. That's a problem. 300 was the number. Make hard decisions, do hard things, put $40 worth of stuff back. Well, we needed it. Did we really need this thing? Well, it was on sale. Doesn't matter. The number's 300. Work towards the goal, because that number needs to be 300 so that we can save the money that we need to save to replace the car that's going to need to get replaced. Right? Reread me the question, please, Brennan. That one, that first one on the first page. I want to make sure that I'm actually on the subject I'm supposed to be on.
Balancing prepper goals versus regular financial goals.
Okay, perfect. So now that you have a budget, right, and you know what you can spend, and you know what you are spending, you need to look at things like, what is your current debt load? How much, how much debt are you in? How much debt are you servicing with your current income level? And then if there's any room left over at the end of the day, let's say that just to use round numbers, you earn $2,000 a month and your cost of living is $1,000 all in. So you have $1,000 left over at the end of the month. Should that be money that you put into savings? Should that be money that you spend on prepping? Are you saving to buy your first house? Blah, 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 blah. How do we allocate that money? Without having a bunch of context about who you are and what you're doing, basically my answer is I would be taking at least, I'd say probably 25% of any excess money in your system and be spending that towards preparedness. Now, is it more important to prep or pay off your home mortgage? Only you can answer that. I don't know. I just don't know. Because that's such a highly individualistic answer. It's entirely dependent upon your situation, and I don't know your specific situation. I can tell you this, it got much easier for us to prep when our property's paid for. Our vehicles are paid for. So there's a whole bunch of money that doesn't go out each month that stays in the budget for us to take advantage of sales at the store or buy ammo or for my wife to buy more freaking chickens or whatever. So I'm about to get into this guy, I think, just peeling skin back. So I think it's both. I don't think that you pay off all of your debt and do no prepping unless you can get all of your debt paid off in the next 3 months, in which case I would say go ahead and pay off all of your debt in the next 3 months, then take all that money that you were servicing debt with and put it towards prepping. But if it's going to be years and years and years, I would take a portion of your budget, maybe 25%, and just put that towards preps each month. The other thing that I would look at is maximizing your revenue. What are the other things that you can be doing in your daily life to spend less money and earn more money that's going to free up even more money for prepping? Like when we were saving for this property here, saving to get out of North Texas and come here, you see the back fat on this guy? Yeah. This is the girl, right? Yeah, this is the girl. And the dude's still hanging. When we were saving to come here, before I got the conviction to keep Torah, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to work every Saturday this year. And I did. And I did that because it generated a whole bunch of extra income. And that was my prepping money. That was the money that I used to buy all the things, do all the things, so forth and so on. So I'd be looking at what are the other things you can do to maximize your income as well as minimize the money that's going out each month. But as a basic number, I'd say 25% of your budget. If you're trying to accomplish the Dave Ramsey style goals, 25% of whatever your excess is each month, go ahead and throw that towards preparedness. And if you're in I forget what the baby steps are, but if your debt is, all your credit card debt is gone and you're trying to pay off your mortgage, I'd say you're 25% in that area of whatever your excess is, put towards preps. And if you have, if you've paid off your home and now you're like, okay, I'm saving for my 6 months of cushion, do the same thing, 25%. So 25% is pretty much my answer. And then how do you allocate that 25%? 50% of that for me is going food. Even right now, as things stand right now for me being me, 50% of that is going for food. There is food scarcity coming. I feel it in my gut, and then I can read about it every day on television and in the news and so forth and so on. It's coming. Get the last little bit of this easy skin off, and then we're gonna actually butcher. This is the crop right here, and they did eat this morning, so that's gonna be full. So 50% of my preparedness budget, even right now, goes to food. Just taking the tip of the knife and working it down right there. See that drop?
Yep.
That's that ball joint right there. Pop that joint open, run this across here, and we're using the weight of the bird to our advantage. That it'll just pop right open like that. That'll stand up. Take this across here, like so, twist, come off. That's your thigh and your leg. And then there's a natural joint right here, like that. You can see the muscle?
Yeah.
Right there. Do that. Take your knife around there. You cut to the bone, but not into the bone. Because if you're dragging your blade across the bone, all you're doing is dulling your knife. You are not going to cut the bone with this knife, okay? So you just cut around the bone, like so, and then like that. See that pops open? Cut down through. Open up that bag, Brennan, or Cody, or whoever. So 50% of my budget is gonna go to, and we'll bone this out because my wife is gonna grind this anyway. So we're here, so we might as well do that. 50% is gonna go to food. And then that other 50% is highly dependent on your individual situation. If you have tons of guns, have a chicken leg.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You probably set that right there. If you already have tons of guns and ammo, you don't need to buy guns and ammo. So I would look at where are you actually lacking. Start with 50% towards food, unless you literally have like 5 to 10 years worth of food put up. Start with 50% towards food and then go, maybe 10% of it is guns and ammo. I try and make an ammo purchase each month. That's just how I roll. I try and make an ammo purchase each month. That will go for making stock, and that is a boned out thigh right there, and that'll get ground for ground turkey. And we'll go ahead and do the other side as well. So I try and purchase ammo each month. I try and purchase medical gear each month. I did start a medical supply company in part because it's nice to have medical supplies and be able to get your hands on them. So here we go, like so. Come right through here. There's another one. How about, let's see, Camo for me is kind of a one and done. Once I buy the things, I have the radios. Occasionally I buy more radios when I feel like, oh, the tribe is growing to the point that it'd be good to have more radios. I'll buy more radios, but I'm not putting a specific number towards Camo each month. That's more of an incidental thing. People love to buy guns and ammo, and they love to have an excuse to go buy guns and ammo. I think if you have a weapon that you can assign to each member of your immediate family, or each member of the people who are going to coalesce at your site, you don't need more. They're nice to have, but man, there's gonna come a time, I really think, where a lot of people are gonna regret buying all that ammo and all those guns, and they should have bought food instead. I'm firmly in the camp still of the militant farmer concept. You need to be able to grow your own food, and you need to be able to defend yourself while you're doing it. He says while boning out a turkey thigh. So guns are a big part of that, but I'm not a buy a gun every month guy. I'm not like I said, I buy ammo every month, but it's not, at this point in my life, it's not ammo cans and ammo cans each month. So I'm almost hesitant to give you numbers because I'm worried that you're going to take those numbers and run with it, and it's not applicable to your situation. I would be buying food like it's your job. I really would. I'd be stockpiling food like crazy. And then probably a better direction to go is how can you invest in the infrastructure where you are or where you're bugging out so that you can produce your own food, you can protect it, you can do all of those things. What does that look like, you know? Okay. So my mom called, and I don't know where this cut off, but what I was saying is, should you spend 10 grand on another totally BA long gun, or should you spend that 10 grand on solar panels for your bug out retreat instead? So I think it's really about having a feel for what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish, and then doing it, having a plan. I would spend, again, at least 50% of my money on food, for sure. Even if you have long-term food storage, even if you are, you know, part of a good tribe, group, a mag, whatever, people got to eat, man. And then if you have already really legitimately have the ability to defend your food, your people, and your food production, look at infrastructure. What kind of infrastructure are we going to need moving forward? Come on, man. There it is. Break. Right there. So, okay. Now we are left with the breasts and the carcass, right? All the guts are inside. This is called the vent. There's a bone right here. You can see the breasts are right here. We'll probably go ahead and gut this guy simply because what's left over here, the bones, it's great for making stock. And it'd be wasteful to just chuck it, right? We could chuck it, but it's great for making stock. So we're gonna start ever so gently right here, and then get our fingers in here like so. And that is that glorious, glorious, glorious smell right there. That's okay. So, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, what else is there when it comes to prepping? It's infrastructure. Like, really, from a community standpoint of trying to maintain continuity of community, trying to maintain a way of life, it's infrastructure. And so I would invest heavily in infrastructure so that you have it when you need it, and there's no aw shucks moment. I shouldn't have bought 6 rifles. I should have bought solar panels. Or I guess I shouldn't have taken, you know, one more vacation. I should have gotten some kind of water system put together on property. You know, that's really how I look at it. Another thing that really goes unsaid often is training. People, it seems like there's 2 camps. Either people that all they do is train, like, yeah, I got another training coming up this weekend and blah, blah, blah. And then people who do 0 training, like none of it. So as you can see, this is the back end, that's the butthole. So I just cut that out. And so even if we had an issue right now, it would all come out that way. Those are guts, okay? That's the intestines, liver, kidneys, lungs, all that stuff. And then there's a diaphragm up in here. Reach up in there. Sometimes you got to go back with your knife, but the diaphragm is literally a wall in the chest cavity. It's the heart right there. Turkey heart. And see that right there? That's my fingy doing it. Probably just freaked you out, didn't it, Brennan? That just freaked you out. It's okay. So, excuse you. This is the esophagus, the windpipe right here. And this is gonna go down to the crop on the front end. And all of his food is right here. my wife just did this on camera for YouTube. You're gonna use just super gentle pressure because there's a sack right here, and we want to cut through this skin, but not cut through the sack, the crop. We're just gonna get it started, get our finger in there, and start to separate, just like that. See that? That's all feed. That's his breakfast right there.
What a waste.
I mean, yes and no, but see, the idea behind the crop is that now I can come over here, isolate this, get my knife in here, just cut that away, no mess, okay? So now to take the breasts out, like we can cut the neck off. Good way to do that is come this side, so come into the bird, then around, underneath, and then you're so slippery. Come on, break, baby. You basically want to cut the muscles on either side of the vertebrae, and then break the vertebrae, but she's not being cooperative. There we go. So there's that. We're left with the carcass and the breasts. So I start right here at the breastbone, tip of the knife, gentle pressure, like so. Just get it started. And then gonna just use the knife, let the weight of the muscle pull itself away from the bird, like so, and just keep rolling it back and exposing, like that, like that, like so. This is the tenderloin. This is the extra flap of muscle that's underneath the breast, right? Cut that out. Then there's a bone right here. We'll let our knife follow that. That's the tenderloin right here, like so. And there's one turkey breast. A little bit bigger than a chicken breast, right? So that'll go in here. Do this side. Do the same thing. I'm still thinking about like prepper budgeting and what I would do, how I would do it. I mean, I could just tell you what I am doing. I'm still stockpiling food to the rafters. Like it's my job. I have a deep conviction to do that, and so I am. Like I said, I try and buy ammo once a month. I mean, I predominantly do buy ammo once a month. I buy medical stuff regularly, not just blowout kits, which blowout kits are great, but long-term wound care. Lots of gauze, tape, gloves, disinfectant. We are actively stockpiling animal feed right now. It's summer right now, but it won't be forever. And come on, tendon. It's summer right now, but it won't be forever. And prices are going up because of the food scarcity in the land. So yeah, what else are we stockpiling? Planting lots of gardens, stockpiling seed. Fuel is an always doing the fuel. We'll get that little bit of chain meat right there as well. Thin bone, come right across here, like so, like so. Then cut this sucker free. That's another, just look at the size of that. And look at the color of it too. It doesn't look like turkey you get in the store, right?
It's not gray.
No, it's not gray. That's a great point. So, and then,
Is there at any point you feel like you have enough of something? Like, oh, I got enough fuel, or oh, I finally got enough food, or...
that's a great question. I think as far as food goes, you should have a minimum of a year's worth of food for everybody who's coming to your place. And so that's what I'm working on, right? For everybody who's coming to my place, a year's worth of food. Which is why it's imperative that you know who's coming to your place. Yeah, I'll be there should be much more clear cut than that. Like, will you? When? How are you getting here? When will you be here? How soon after a major event can I expect you to be here? Blah, 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 right? Because I don't want to go through the significant expense of putting up a year's worth of food for somebody who's not going to make good use of it, right? Now, that being said, is there too much food? No, there's not too much food. But maybe I should have allocated that money to buy that year's worth of food to something else, right? So that's a good question, Brennan. A year's worth of food at a minimum. The ability to plant 3 times the garden you need to stay alive. I would have that in seed for sure. Weapons, 1 rifle per person capable of operating a rifle. And then maybe a few spares from there. And then parts kits for sure. I like 1,000 rounds per rifle. If you're gonna have handguns you're gonna give to people, oh, we need to close the lid of that thing. It doesn't matter now, but next time, for next time. I'm not big on handing out handguns because handguns can be concealed, and if somebody's gonna turn on me, I don't want them to shoot me with my gun. But a minimum of 500 rounds per handgun. Shotguns is the same thing. Medical, man, I think for every tactical kit you have, there needs to be a blowout kit on it, and then I would love it if you had several blue totes filled with gauze, tape, gloves, and disinfectant. Because 1 gunshot wound, 1 bad cut, 1 burn can take a case of gauze. Easy for wound care. Rolls upon rolls of tape. Dozens of gloves. Okay, well now we're empty. Now what? Water, a minimum of 3 gallons per person per day. Minimum. So, and I like 5 for sure, and then I really like all the water. Great question, Brendan. I think that'll do it. Patreon, I hope you liked this video. If you didn't, I'm sorry. I got one more bird to kill or cut up. Cody, hit the button, please.